Well, if we look at this question here, a question on interpenetration, okay, the intersection of solids. So it just says the image on the right shows football boots and a stud tool remover. Figure B3 below, so we have our figure B3 on the bottom there, laid out as an orthographic. Okay, it says figure B3 below shows the incomplete plan and incomplete elevation of a similar stud remover. The stud remover consists of a prism which intersects a truncated hexagonal pyramid as shown. Okay, a pictorial view of the stud remover is also shown, so that is shown to us down in the bottom corner. Okay, so it's hard enough to see it on the screen there, but we can basically see one solid there intersecting the other. Okay, so we have our hexagonal pyramid now. It's truncated, which means it's cut off. Okay, so that hexagonal pyramid, okay, is sliced off there at a height of, it says on the drawing 31, but we always need to check the scale. In this case, it's a scale of 2:1, which means we doubled the measurements. So that's the first thing I've done. I just went through all the normal measurements, crossed them out, and just doubled them. Okay, obviously then angles do not change, they stay the same. So 20 degrees here will stay as 20 degrees. Okay, so we have a hexagonal pyramid, okay, that's cut off, doesn't go right up to the point. Okay, if it did, obviously it would extend right up there to its point. It doesn't, it's cut off at that height, which of course our horizontal cut through that will just give us another little hexagon there in plan. Okay, so the first thing it asks me to do then is draw the given plan and elevation. So it's telling me there, draw the given plan and elevation. So I'm going to start off my plan and work up towards my elevation then after that. Okay, so I'm just going to go through that there now and lay out my orthographic views of that there now quickly. Okay, so I have my plan and my elevation there lined out, so we can just see there now. I've drawn that very lightly at the moment because I'm not exactly sure yet how much of it is going to get cut away, okay, with the prism that's going through it. Okay, so I have obviously my plan here. Now I can see, yes, these edges here, they're not really interfered with, they're sitting on the ground, there's nothing cutting through them, so I could possibly put them in heavy to start off. Now I have numbered my corners on the ground, or my points on the ground, right? 1 around to 6, and I number the same ones obviously in my elevation on that. So if we just look at the prism there that's cutting through it, it's going through at an angle of 20 degrees. Okay, the only point really that I can start with is this lad here, which is back 16 from that corner, and I go up then at 20 degrees. And after that, what I have to do then is use the information they gave me up here. That's the true shape of that object that's going through it. Okay, so I'm going to draw that up there, roughly in that location, and then I can project back down my points in order to help me finish off that prism there that's going through it. Okay, so to start that off, I just went up my 20 degree angle, and then I just set my adjustable then to match that. Okay, because I'll be using that then from there on. So I put it in first to the protractor, and then I just match my adjustable to it, just in case the scale my adjustable was slightly off. Okay, so I just use my protractor first and line there. Okay, so to draw this prism cutting through it, so up past our object, so we can see it is 50 millimeters long at the base. Right, so we have a center line here, so we know it's a symmetrical object basically. It's 18 millimeters wide at the top. Okay, so I'm just going to do my 50, get my center, come up, put in my 18, and I can join back down my corners then. Of course, it is a height there of 36 mil. Okay, so go right up past the top. So I want to go to, okay, so I know it's not going to interfere with the object. Okay, so it is 50 mil wide at the base. I'll mark the center then, which is 25. Okay, of course I can use my adjustable for this as well. Up there, 50 millimeters. Center then, draw my center line, measured off there a height of 36. Yes, that's going to be the top of it. Use my adjustable again. So draw in my top edge. Just measure across the line then either side of the center. That's the true shape then of that object is cutting through it, and I'm looking straight at the object, that's what I see. So I can now project down my top points back down into my elevation. And just looking at my question then, I can see the detail there involved. So basically I need to locate that point and I can join it back up then. So that point is basically straight over there until I hit my top line. Okay, and I can just change that back. So that's that bit of detail done there. Okay, so that's as much really as the object as I can draw inside my elevation. And now I need to line that out there now inside my plan. So in order to do that, okay, just have a look at it here. Okay, so I need to figure out exactly where it's positioned. So I can see my center line here, that dashed line, the long short line going through. So I know it's going through the dead center. Okay, and if I'm looking at my object in plan, I'm looking down at it in that direction there. So then I can get the locations of those edges based in plan. They're just points there, but they are edges because that's the edge, the top edge cutting all the way through, or two top edges rather, and that's my two bottom edges. Now for my hexagon pyramid, I have it labelled 1 to 6 on the base. Okay, so for the object cutting through it, I'm just going to use letters rather than numbers just to distinguish it. So I'm going to say A, B, C, and D. Okay, so you can see there the way I've labelled that up, A, B, C, D. So the front edge here that I see, that's my edge D. Okay, so there with D. And obviously C then is the one behind it, so that's going to be DC. And then A is the front one cutting down here, so I call this AA. So that edge going up through it is my edge AA. Whereas B, and B is the one directly behind that. So basically I want to put in them 4 edges now into my plan. Okay, so for that I can just go from the center, and I'm going to go out then from the center and plan. So if I'm looking here at my view that I have, I'm looking down, straight down top to there, and that'll be my center point. I know the distance there and there for A and B, the two top edges, and also the distance for here and here, D and C, the two bottom edges on that object there. Okay, so I can start putting that in there now. Okay, so I'll put in my center line first. It's just a horizontal line, a very light horizontal line going straight through the dead center of that object there inside the plan. Okay, so from there then I'm just going to measure those distances that I have inside in my other view. Okay, so it's important that I measure them and make sure that there are exact distances that I have up there. I'll just get my compass and I can start ticking off those distances. Okay, so looking down at top now, my plan, the first thing I'm going to do is from my center out, I'm going to measure my distance from the center out to point D, center to point C is the same, and I'm going to do the same for A and B. Okay, so I'm just ticking off those distances in my plan. I'm going to do the same then for A and for B. So from the center out, I measure my distance, and again from the center out here, I mark that because that is where the edge is going to go through in plan. So now back to my plan and just put in those lines going through it. And the front edge, which is edge D, and the two top edges then we have B is the one at the back and A is the one there at the front. So that's those edges. Now they won't go all the way through there because they're actually cut off there at the end. So you can see that there now in 1 second. Okay, so drawn. Okay, we have this bit of detail here where the object is cut. It's out at distance of 90 and straight up, so it's cut off there. Okay, and it's joined, that's basically a horizontal cut there going through it, and our vertical cut there. Okay, so you have here, that shape there is produced from that horizontal cut. And those two little edges there and there are produced from that vertical cut. If we were to extend that all the way, it would go to a point, which means that they will go right out to a point there, but they're not, they're cut off there with that vertical cut, and that will give us a little bit of an edge here and here. And now in my drawing, so project it up, the object is cut off there. that gives me that bit of an edge there in my elevation. That's my vertical cut. Okay, so the object then extends down, and I'm going to stop at the heavy line there. I know we'll cut into that face somewhere, but not yet. Okay, it will be heavy at least until it reaches the top of that, so I'll leave that there like that. I'll drop that down to my plan. Okay, so I'm going to finish this off as if it wasn't cut, and then I'm going to put in the cut. Okay? So what I'm going to do is, if it wasn't cut, it would finish there. Drop that down. Right down there to my plan. But of course I know it's cut off at that point. I'm going to extend these to my corners, and there, then pass over the vertical cut there. Get my little bit of an edge here then. That's the back edge on the bottom, so that wide edge says my edge C, the one at the front is my edge D, this one then going in along is going to be my edge B, and there we have my edge A, this one that cuts in along there. Okay, so I'll leave it light for a moment because I'm not exactly sure where they'll finish just yet. So I can finish off this bit of back detail here on it. So if I look at my question sheet, okay, I need to come up with this shape here. Two lines are extended and they will cut into that face of the hexagonal base pyramid. So what I can see, that point there is on the ground. So that's actually that point, that edge there in plan. Okay, it just looks like a point in elevation. This point is up here. Okay, that is my edge there inside the plan. And there joined down, so that surface there base inside the plan, right, that's that surface there in my elevation. Okay, it just looks like an edge. So we can finish that off there now first. So that's on the ground. So that's that there. Truck on the camera. And that's the edge in the air, which is just in line with the bottom of the hexagon, of course, as well. And finish off that slope down to it. Okay, so I can see this is a flat surface here on my elevation. So the bottom edges, so edge D and edge C, go into that face to crash into it at that point there, so I can then drop that down and find this edge as it is in my plan. Okay, and of course, because it's in plan, it's at the bottom of that object, so it becomes a dashed or dotted line. And also the edge 5, 6 that's on the ground of my hexagonal pyramid, okay, that is completely there. Okay, so it's heavy until it disappears under the object, and also there it's heavy until it disappears under the object, and after that then it is a dotted line all the way across. Okay, so my top edges there, A and B of the object, they cut into that face again, so A goes all the way in until it cuts through the face there. So to find that location in plan, I just drop it straight down. Okay, so that gives me my pointer across my A line and of course my B line. Okay, Okay, so that's my line B, that's my line A, the back one was my line C, and the front one was my line D. Okay, so I can finish off that there now. It is a solid edge, it is seen, it is on top of the object, so it's not a dotted line. Okay, so that goes all the way out there as far as that, as far as AB there. Okay, now it will also slope down along that face until it meets this D line coming in. Okay, we can see that's where the D line comes in. Okay, right as far as there. Okay, so it slopes down along the face there, and the same at the other side. Okay, because it is symmetrical, it makes it easy enough. Whatever is happening at the back, it's also happening at the front and vice versa. Okay, so that's more or less the back of that object finished and fully dealt with. Okay, so this edge is completely finished. That's completely solid, I should say. That's nothing put out of it. That edge is completely solid. Okay, so after that then, that edge on the ground is obviously completely solid because there's nothing at all over it or interfering with it or cutting through it. And the same there. Here, and also my edge 1, 2 on the ground. Okay, so they're all completely solid. So that's the back of the object dealt with. In order to find out where the prism cuts to the front of the object, it's a little bit trickier. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to project down an auxiliary plan, because I want to get a view looking down the line exactly where my prism cuts through my hexagonal pyramid, my truncated hexagonal pyramid. Okay, so in order to do that, I'm just going to project an XY, okay, 90 degrees to that 20 degree line that we put in earlier on. Okay, so projected. All my points need to be projected down along to the lowest one, so I'm just going to bring down this one here just to see I don't interfere with my plan, you see. So that's what we're going with the 3, 2. Okay, so I can put in my X1, Y1, okay, in that location there. And all the points need to be projected first. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to bring down all the points on the hexagonal, truncated hexagonal pyramid. Okay, so I'm projecting down those two that are on the ground. Okay, I project down 1 and 4, they're on the ground. I project down 5 and 6, they're also on the ground. Okay, so all those points on the ground, because it's an auxiliary plan, take my distance from my vertical plane, or from my XY I should say, down to my plan. So take my distance from my XY down to the same points in plan and mark them off my new view. Okay, so the ones that are going to be on the ground, and also for the hexagonal pyramid, the ones that are up 62 millimeters up in the air. So there, those two and those two, I'll be projecting those down as well. And the same thing, just taking my distance from my XY out to those points in plan and mark them into my new one. So I'll do that first, and then I'll worry about the prism that's cutting through it. Okay, so I'll do one object at a time. Okay, so I can see there now I have the auxiliary plan complete of my hexagonal pyramid. Now I need to bring down the prism that's cutting through it. So the very same story again. Okay, I'm just going to project my points down from elevation. Okay, so my 2 here, projecting down, so they're my 2 edges, my edge D, my edge C. So I'll mark off where those points are, again taking the distance from plan. Okay, and I'm going to do the very same then for the points on the very top. Okay, so I project down the top points, take the distance from my plan, and then I'm going to get a view of my object there cutting through that hexagonal based prism, hexagonal based pyramid. Okay, so I have my prism there cutting through, so I'm just going to finish off the hexagonal base pyramid heavy until it basically hits that object, because that's a flat view of that object cutting straight through that pyramid. Okay, so that's it there looking from the front now. We have an edge here going back along the ground. It is behind this object in this view. So I'm just going to leave it light for the moment, and at the end I'll go back and put those in dotted there. So I have an edge here. I'll also have my edge 5. I'll have my edge 6. I'll have my line 1, 6 on the ground. Okay, which is this lad here, which looking at it from the angle I'm looking at it, it's not visible. Okay, it's at the back of the object there. Okay, the same as this edge here along the ground 5, 6, with the point view here. Okay, which is a edge here. As I'm looking at it here, it's at the back of the object. It is there, so it will be a dotted line going all the way across. Okay, so what that enables me to do now, I can see exactly where my edge D, okay, cuts through this face of my object. I can see it clearly cutting through at that point there. Okay, I know it comes out of the object here at the back, right, because that's a single edge view and I can see exactly where it comes out of it, but it's very hard to tell in my elevation where it's actually cutting through the face of that. Okay, so this edge here, which is my edge 4, that is solid all the way. Okay, I can see that there, it's not being cut, it's not being interfered with, but this edge D comes along and it crashes through that face of the object at a certain point, and I want to find that certain point. I can see it right there. Okay, so but if I just project that back up to my elevation, obviously I'm just projecting back along that same line. I can't identify it still. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put in a green line here, okay, from a known point on the surface. Okay, so this is my edge 4, 4, and the top 4, 3, and back down 3, 3. So it's that face there. So from a known point on it, right, so I'm going to go from point 3 here on the ground. I'm going to go straight through point D. Okay, and I'm going to continue it then. So from point 3 through my point D. Okay, and we'll see then where it cuts off. So it's just below that top edge there. Okay, so, or just below that top point I should say. So that line there now, I now need to go and put that back into my elevation and see exactly where it is. Okay, so from point 3 through my point D and back up to there. So I have my point 3 here on the ground. I need this point here. Okay, so in order to find that, I can just project that back up from my auxiliary plan. Okay, so it's actually just turning, it's actually coming out right at that corner there. Okay, so I can put that back in, as I projected it back up, put it in, okay, where it cuts through edge D. That's obviously the point now I'm looking for. So edge D continues in until it goes into the face right at that point there. Okay, so I'm going to put that in, so edge D continues down along and it disappears into the object at that point, and we know it comes back out there, okay, at that point there, out through the back of the object. I'm just going to finish up that little bit there as well. Okay, so we can see there exactly where it's cutting into it. Okay, of course I can now find that as well inside my plan. Okay, I can just drop that down until it cuts my edge D, so that has to be the same point, and obviously it's a mirror image we said, so it's the same point there as well. So that's my C point, that's my D point if you like. Okay, so D goes all the way in until it hits that point, and the same for edge C, all the way in until it hits that point there. Okay, so that's that. Those 2 points basically dealt with. My point here and my point here is easy to find because it's one edge, okay, one line crossing over another one right at that point. I can bring that back up and locate it in the elevation. Okay, so it's just there. same point. So D will go to that, it'll slope up along that face until it reaches that point, and then it'll go back until A cuts in through the object. That just cuts into the roof of the object, okay, which is right there anyway. Slope up to my point. Okay, and it goes back into the object there. Okay, so my edge 5, 6, okay, is edge 5, 5 I should say, and 6, 6 behind it. That is fully there, that's not cut away. Okay, we can also see that the back, it's fully there, it's not cut away, so I can put that in my elevation. Finish off my edges A and B in elevation. I already have those dealt with in plan, but I want to find this point in plan here, which is where my edge A and my edge B cut into the top surface of the object. So just bring that straight down. Where it cuts my line A, where it cuts my line B in the object. Okay, and we know that goes all along, so it goes from there to that point. So I need to find that point now in my plan. I already found in my elevation, so I can just drop it straight down to my plan. At that point, it also gives us that point there. So that's the line it makes when it cuts into the roof of the object. Okay, it slopes then down along that face there, and it slopes down along my face there. All the way in, and this sled goes all the way in until it inserts. That's my edge A, all the way in until it inserts there, edge B all the way in until it inserts there, right into the roof of the object. I can now finish off that hexagon there in my plan. So that's the plan view there of the detail that I can see looking down from top. Of course, there is a little bit then underneath it that I can't see. So for example, we have this point here, okay, which would be between my line D and my line C as it cuts across that front face. Okay, so I can just drop that straight down. As it cuts across that front face, okay, it's going to be dotted along that front face, so from that edge and that edge there. Okay, but where does it go then from that point? Well, we know at the front side, which will be the same as the back side of it, it goes back to my point here that I found along that generator, right? It cuts back into that point. Okay, so it's sloping back along that face up to that point. So that's my hidden detail there. And it's the same on this side. And of course my other edge then, my edge 2. Okay, we can see it here. Goes up along until it gets as far as there. It's solid until it goes under the object, and then it's dotted until that point there. Okay, and the same story at this side, my edge 3. Solid until there, and then it's dotted until my point here. Okay, and the front edge on the ground, okay, edge 2, 3, sitting on the ground. It is fully there. Okay, it's solid there, but as it goes underneath that prism, of course, it disappears, but it is there, so it is a dotted line. Okay, so at this point I think that all the lines, all the hidden detail, everything else is shown. Okay, and it's just a matter of heading in whatever lines are left to be heavy. So I know that's heavy up as far as there. So I think that's everything heavy inside my elevation in my plan. I can just finish off that edge is fully left. Same as the one on the bottom of it, that's fully left. Okay, so that's that drawn completely finished. So we can see that flat surface on the top, okay, which is this leg coming in, cuts into the roof of my object here. That gives my line, comes back out here. That gives the other line there coming out the back. Okay, so we have that surface coming back out. Okay, so where every point where it goes in, or every edge I should say that goes in, it obviously comes out then at the back of it, or vice versa, whatever the story is. Now, you could say over here is not completely fully finished. Okay, of course we have that cut edge there, our vertical cut. We could project that edge down and bring it into that view. I didn't bother because I knew this had nothing got to do with that, and that was cutting into the object. Okay, so if you really wanted to, okay, you can project that edge down as well into your auxiliary plan. Okay, if you want to show the whole lot being done in your auxiliary plan. Okay, but it doesn't have any bearing on what's going on inside in here. Okay, but that's it there inside in our auxiliary plan there anyways. Okay, and of course you can of course put in our lines dotted, the ones that are left there. So for example, my edge 4, 5 there at the back, and the rest. Okay, so we can see those edges there. They are in there. They're not interrupted, they're not cut away, but they are just hidden there at the back of the object, the same way as the edge on the floor is hidden underneath our object here, or the front edge is hidden underneath the object there. Okay. So again, just make sure you label, of course, all your views and label them up neatly. Okay, so that's everything labeled: elevation plan, auxiliary plan. Of course, make sure your X, Y's and that are labeled as well. Okay, time at the end, just go through everything, maybe clean up any excess construction lines around. For example, these lads here hanging out the side, you could go over and just clean them up or that at the end. Okay, but that's that question done.